Welcome to this fundraising workshop. My name is Ernest Yamato. I'm really excited to be here. I've been involved in trying to helping organizations to raise funds for the last 20 years. I developed this interest over time because I realized that without two things, a long-term vision and a vision that is supported by funding, organizations will not be able to succeed. So for me, fundraising is a very practical thing. It's really about survival of the organization. It's also about you being able to do what you have to do and to achieve your mission. That's the power. I'm hoping that at the end of this workshop, you can get a nice overview, just a quick overview of the fundraising landscape in Africa, as well as in Germany and other European countries. Hope to equip you with practical skills to identify and approach potential donors, both locally and internationally, enable you to develop and write tailored fundraising strategies that align with your project goals, and then we shall do practical exercises that will help you develop fundraising strategies. So let's start off with a bit of an exercise that I think is important, and that is, what is your mission or values as an organization? So I want you to answer a couple of questions. Get out a pen and paper, have some sticky notes that I hope you have, and spend about 2 minutes that I'm going to time you to discuss, what do you believe in? What is your purpose as an organization? And then why do you believe what you believe in? Why is it important what you believe in? And then how do you express what you believe in? How do we know in terms of what is the impact? How do we know what you believe in? And then what is the impact of your purpose? Just because you believe what you believe, how do we see that impact of why your organization? Basically, it's why your organization exists. Then when you go through that exercise, also say, what are the 3 most important things that you need to achieve, that you need for you to achieve your purpose? What are the things that you need? Because yes, it's important to have that vision, but you also need to be able to achieve that purpose. So what do you need? In terms of fundraising, this is just a broad overview. So in Africa, we're seeing increasing engagement of local and international donors in sectors such as health, education, agriculture, and climate change. Those are the sectors that have the most potential and the most growth. And really, in reality, those are the sectors that, if you're based in those sectors or you focus on those sectors, you have the highest chances of obtaining resources. Health has always been there because there's always been a need, there's always been a gap. Diseases have been a big factor of the continent, again, because of the climate, our situation. HIV is a big one, but also the disease malaria is still a big problem. TB, I do work with the Global Fund, where I'm the vice chair for the technical review panel that reviews proposals. And I do see the proposals that come from the Global Fund that show HIV and TB and malaria are still the biggest problem in the world. But we also have pneumonia and other health illnesses, health both for children. Education is a big one, both practical and vocational education, agriculture and the agricultural sector, and climate change and justice, but also linked to health is things like water and sanitation. In Africa, we're also seeing growth of local philanthropy and the role of NGOs and community-based organizations in mobilizing resources. In Europe, fundraising has been established for a long time. What is happening is there's been important shifts. There, it's more about compliance, understanding what donors want, and complying with the requirements. For example, like USAID, BMZ, and other organizations, they are very strict. So it's very important, I think, if you want to understand the European funding landscape, is to really understand, to go in and study the donor organizations, whether it's governments, and I'll explain them, foundations that exist in those countries, and be able to understand what do they want you to do. Understand what are their principles, what are their values, what do they want to do, how do they want you to account for whatever they give you, and how do they want you to measure your impact. So for European fundraising, it's important to show the impact of what you're doing. There's also a bigger shift towards digital fundraising and growing interest in social enterprise and impact investing. Why do you think is there a shift towards digital fundraising? Can we get a couple of ideas why? One key thing is, traditionally, it's been very expensive raising funds. So many organizations look at, if you're doing activities, how much of that are you spending on administration, on paying rent, on hiring people, things that may not be directly related. These are important, but of course, donors look out to see, are you spending too much money? For example, if I give you $1,000, are you spending half of it on paying rent? So those are pretty critical things. So they look at ways in which, so digital fundraising helps you cut costs. It also helps you grow very fast, and also helps you measure your impact as well. So what are the types of donors? We have private foundations. These are funded by individuals, families, or corporations. Examples include the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Ford Foundation. Can you give me another example of private foundations? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Then we have community foundations funded by and serve local communities, focusing on community-specific issues. What are some of the examples of community foundations in your countries? Who founds this? Why are they important? Okay. Then we have corporate foundations. They're established by corporations to support philanthropic activities aligned with their business interests and corporate social responsibility. A big one in Africa right now is the MasterCard Foundation. Have you heard about the MasterCard Foundation? The MasterCard Foundation is a very important one that plays a very important role in in Africa. But there are other organizations that now are increasingly developing their own foundations that are separate. So it's important to understand, for these foundations, they are separate. So for example, MasterCard Foundation is separate from MasterCard itself, but the principles of the foundation you'll find often will overlap with the principles of the organization. So understanding what MasterCard does as an organization, a business organization, is also important to understanding what the MasterCard Foundation was set up for. So it's important to study. I think one of the key messages you will see me giving you throughout is the importance of study, study, study. You have to understand who, how, and what the types of donors that you need to pursue. It's important. You have to study them like you're studying for an exam. Then we have governmental organizations, government agencies that provide funding, such as USAID, DFID, BMZ in Germany, CEDA, NORAD. These are important organizations that actually do provide funding. It's very important that you understand these organizations and again, study them. Then we have multilateral organizations, international institutions funded by multiple governments like the World Bank, United Nations agencies, UNICEF, UNDP, and the European Union. Then you have non-governmental organizations. These are NGOs, the national NGOs. These are large organizations operating globally, such as Oxfam, CARE, Medicines Sans Frontiers, Doctors Without Borders. I used to work with them, and they have branches. They have branches in many countries: MSF France, MSF Switzerland, MSF Germany, MSF Australia, MSF. There's a US MSF, and now there's a MSF South Africa even. Then we have local NGOs, smaller community-based organizations that focus on local specific issues. I think it's important that when we look at some of the local NGOs, they're also donors, because what happens is sometimes many of them might be given sub-grants where they look for other organizations to work with. So it's very important that even if we are looking for donors, to understand all sources of funding. So there's the main grant. So for example, the major international organizations may look for local partners. Like at Global Fund, what we do, we provide money to the principal recipient, and they look for sub-recipients. Usually these sub-recipients are community-based organizations who we sub-grant. So it's very important to understand the principles of these non-government organizations and identify whether they do provide sub-grants programs. Because, and again, an important thing people are looking at, like I mentioned earlier, is sustainability. We have corporations or corporate donors. These are corporates with corporate social responsibility, companies that fund projects related to their CSR policies, focusing on community development, health, education, and environmental sustainability. So can you give me a couple of examples? Okay, then we have cause-related marketing. These are businesses that support charitable causes through marketing campaigns and consumer engagement. So you can see a good example, like when people sell a product, whether it's a phone, whether it's a TV, whether it's a car, and they say, okay, for every car we sell, we'll donate say maybe $2,000 to charity, or we'll have a fund that we shall collect. So be on the lookout for some of these cause marketing, which are the examples that you can look at. Okay. We also have religious education, Catholic Relief Services, World Vision, that are affiliated with religious groups that provide funding. Another important source of funding is individual donors. These are high net worth individuals, wealthy individuals who contribute significantly to philanthropic causes, sometimes establishing their own foundations. The general public, an important source of funding, crowdfunding, online donations, and membership fees. So I'll spend a bit of some time here to actually make you realize that all of you, especially now in Africa, we're all doing fundraising, isn't it? How many of you are members of WhatsApp groups? Isn't it? Think about how often when one of your friends or relatives passes away, think about how quickly and swiftly you are able to actually generate funding. Don't we always do so? When we need to get the funding, why can't we think about using some of these? They will be low technology, they're easy, low technology, high impact fundraising strategies to be able to raise for a cause. Sometimes we do this to raise school fees and things like that. Then we have international agencies and intergovernmental organizations, for example, WHO, UNFPA, and UNESCO, that provide funding and technical support. So entities like the African Union or the European Commission that fund projects within their regions. Social enterprises, businesses that reinvest profits into social or environmental causes. Impact investors, these are investors who provide capital to organizations with expectation of both financial return and social impact. Academic and research institutions also fund, and public fundraising, crowdfunding. So I think you must have, so why is it important to understand the types of donors? Because that is what you do. So when you're developing your fundraising strategy, you must categorize these donors. Then you must do a scan in your sector. Within all these donors that I have actually spelled out, who are the ones that, do I know them in my country? List them out. So go and perform the exercise in your sector. Find out who are the international donors, who are the local donors, who are the foundations in my sector. So you need to go and do actual research. So getting knowledge is very, very critical. Go and study them, find out where they are, list them. Find out their contacts, how to get information about them, develop a plan. Because you can't approach all of them. You have to look at what you do, the sector that you're in, what you want to do, develop a plan, identify what gives you the best chances of success. What gives you the best chances of success is to look at the donors that you're already attracting, look at similar organizations in what you're doing and the donors that they are attracting, find out from other countries as well, other regions, then find out get a way in which you approach these donors. So what are the key trends in development fundraising? In Africa, there's increased local philanthropy, so growth of local foundations and individual giving. So, for example, in Nigeria, we have the Tony Elumelu Foundation. We have more and more local philanthropy. We have more and more people who either have made their money on the continent and they want to create foundations to support organizations. We also have local businesses. So there's increased local philanthropy that we should not overlook as an important source of funding. Africa digital platform. So Africa invented mobile money. I'm proud to say that mobile money was invented in Kenya, actually. This is where it took off. So there's no other place where mobile money has had a bigger impact than in Africa. And it's an important, so you must, if you're going to have a fundraising strategy, you cannot ignore how you use your digital platforms, how you can take advantage of them. Because one, the digital platforms, you're already using them. They're important for the work that you do, for making the payments. But you can also think about them as fundraising platforms. You already, like I said, you have WhatsApp groups that you're already using where you get funding. That's important. Private-public partnerships, collaboration between government and the private sector, becoming increasingly important, and it's an area that you can look at. But an important thing, like I mentioned, is the focus on sustainability. Donors increasingly support projects with long-term impact. So when we talk about sustainability, we are talking about projects where there's government involvement, so government ownership or clear government laws. There's projects where there's a component of building local capacity. That means identifying and doing things locally yourselves. So also, what are the resources that you're putting in as an organization? So find out what you can contribute as an organization. Because sometimes you may not have money, but you can contribute time, effort, you can contribute members, you can contribute labor. That's an important thing, and we'll make sure that you capture it when you're writing fundraising strategies. What is going to be your contribution? This is what comes about sustainability. They think about partnerships. So I said, don't think about you come together as a sector. Do you have coordination forums? They think about also, are the things you're doing embedded in laws? Are you doing a lot of advocacy work? In Europe, we are looking at trends, and I'll just pick three. Impact investing. So there's a rising interest in funding projects with measurable social and environmental impacts. So for you, whatever you're doing, do you measure the impact of what you're doing? Do you have very strong monitoring and evaluation? And are you able to show that? And I think an important part where you have to speak about is don't just think about data, stories. We live in a digital, visual world. Stories, it's photos, it's stories. How robust is your presence in terms of capturing your stories? If I go to your website, can I look at a video? Can I read a story? Can I read? Because we forget data, but we remember stories. Europe, there's also more of CSR and corporate partnerships. Companies are looking to align with social causes as part of their corporate social responsibility. And for many companies these days, climate is a big one. Technology and innovation. So utilization of data analytics and digital tools for donor engagement and fundraising efficiency. So how do you think this is important, data analytics and digital tools? Can you give me some examples? Good. So let's look at challenges. And it's important to understand the challenges so that really for you to raise money, it's you overcoming these challenges. Why is it difficult to raise money in your setting? Why is it difficult to raise money in Africa? Why is it difficult to raise money in your country? Think about that. So you have to think about what are the challenges, then how do you overcome those challenges, and what are the opportunities? So in Africa, the big challenge is limited infrastructure. So challenges in accessing remote areas and implementing projects. So you may want to do a project, but there may be little infrastructure. A big challenge we have in Africa is regulatory barriers, complex legal and tax regulations for nonprofits. So it's an important one to look at regulation. So the first thing I noticed in Africa that we have to be very clear about is your status as organizations. Do you comply? Do you file your returns? Are you operating legally? This is very, very important. Do you have a formal relationship with, say, with your international partner? And I think for Kolping, that's an important thing. And this is different for different countries. I know in some countries, the international affiliate can simply just, be part of the local affiliate. But in some countries, like I lived in Nigeria for a long time, you must be very clear in terms of how you're registered. Donor fatigue is a big one. There's so much competition for limited international funding that right now you have to be very innovative in the work that you're doing. Europe, the challenge is compliance and reporting, stringent regulations on financial reporting and accountability, changing donor expectations, demand for more accountability and measurable impact, then government changes, more focus on local than international. So, for example, the politics of Europe is changing. Migration is a big factor. Many of the government partners may be, more hardline. So, what are the opportunities in fundraising? So, there's a lot of cross-border collaboration. So, Europe and African European organizations for knowledge exchange and sharing. Digital. Leverage digital fundraising tools such as social media, crowdfunding to reach a wider audience. These tools are easy to set up, easy to use, easy to maintain, and you'll be surprised the kind of impact they can have. And I'll give you some examples to organizations that have used this. Focus on what I call strategic development, sustainable development goals. Align your fundraising requests with sustainable development goals or international agreements that are already in place. Develop a partnership with businesses interested in CSR engagement. So I'm just mentioning a few. So what are some of the other opportunities, in fundraising? There is grant seeking from government agencies, targeting donor agencies. Kolping can secure funds from government donors that focus on international development and community opportunities. So, such as USAID, DFID, and the German Cooperation and Development have substantial budgets for social development aligned with Kolping's mission. So, align with policy goals, demonstrate how Kolping's initiatives align with the government donor strategic objectives, such as poverty, reduction, health, education, economic empowerment. Data and impact focus. Provide evidence of measurable impact through data and success stories. Highlight Kolping's work in improving livelihoods and community development in specific African regions. Compliance and accountability. Ensure your proposal meets all compliance requirements and showcases strong governance, transparency, and accountability practices. Government partners prioritize organizations that can demonstrate effective use of funds and adherence to regulations. Corporate partnerships, and corporate social responsibility. Companies increasingly prioritize social impact through their CSR initiatives. For example, companies in sectors like technology, banking, and agriculture may support projects that align with Kolping's objectives. So this was an example. Kolping can partner with multinationals like Coca-Cola, which has a history of supporting WASH projects, or Unilever, which supports initiatives in women's empowerment and sustainability. So look at the multinationals in your country and see what is the history of what they fund. Cause marketing partnerships. Kolping can partner with companies for cause-related marketing, where a percentage of profits from specific products are donated to the organization. This not only generates funds, but also raises awareness of Kolping's work. Crowdfunding platforms. Leverage platforms like Global Giving, GoFundMe, or Crowdfunder to raise small donations from global audience. Kolping could create specific campaigns for individual projects, e.g. building a school, providing clean water, or vocational training centers, with clear goals and emotional storytelling to engage donors. Example, a campaign could focus on empowering women entrepreneurs in all Africa, showcasing individual stories and how donations directly impact beneficiaries. Peer-to-peer fundraising. Encourage Kolping's existing supporters and volunteers to create their own fundraising pages and seek donations from their networks. This approach is highly effective during specific events or for targeted campaigns. Donor stewardship and individual giving. So, one of the things is you need to cultivate relationships with high net worth individuals who share Kolping's values. So personalized communication, regular updates on project outcomes, and invitations to visit project sites in Africa can deepen engagement with major donors. So for example, organizing exclusive events like online roundtables or in-person visits to project sites can strengthen relationships with major donors. So monthly giving programs. Set up a recurring donation program to secure a steady stream of income. Encourage small monthly donations by emphasizing that even a small amount can have a significant long-term impact on projects. For example, a Sustainable Africa monthly giving club, where donors commit $10 to $20 per month, can fund ongoing projects. Digital marketing and online fundraising. Leverage social media for fundraising. Utilize social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to run digital campaigns. Kolping can create content that highlights success stories, shares testimonials from beneficiaries, and calls for action. I think it's important for two things also. It helps you engage with the young people in your projects because they are very good at these things. So engage them, learn from them. They are very, very good. So for example, launch a campaign called Water for All, where each post highlights the difference that clean water makes in communities across Africa, driving people to donate online. Email campaigns. Email remains one of the most effective channels for donor engagement. You can use email to send updates, annual reports, and specific calls to action to past donors, encouraging them to continue their support. Fundraising events. You can host both virtual and in-person fundraising events, such as galas, dinners, or concerts. Kolping can partner with local businesses to sponsor the event or donate auction items, creating multiple avenue streams. So, for example, create a virtual empowerment gala from the field versus go to the field. So, what are some of the country-specific opportunities in East Africa? Again, emphasis on culture, education, climate change, health, and technology. Southern Africa, focus on mining, communities, climate change, WASH projects, and renewable energy. West Africa, health, microfinance, climate change, and gender equality initiatives are key. Central Africa, emphasis on biodiversity, climate change, and community health projects. So I'm just giving some examples. All this could cut across, but what you have to do within your region, those are the specific sectors where I've seen funding going to, in a big way, and identify. So, electrification of potential funding sources in Europe. So, apart from DMZ, look into other governmental grants and private foundations, Robert Bosch Foundation, Henrik Bosch Foundation, and faith-based organizations. Other European countries, consider organizations like the EU ECHO, Erasmus Fund, private foundations, the World Camp Trust, King Baldwin Foundation, and international NGOs. Corporate partnerships, explore CSR initiatives from multinational companies and European corporate entities. Faith-based organizations, Catholic NGOs in Europe, have a strong presence and identify specific areas of mutual interest. So case studies and best practice. So let's look at the first one. This organization is called Shining Hope Community in Kenya. So I've worked with SHOFCO. It's a grassroots organization that aims to alleviate poverty and empower urban slum communities. They focus on providing essential services, including education, healthcare, and clean water. So what's their strategy? They did community-based financing. So they began with community-based finance, leverage local support and small donations to kickstart. Then they built partnerships with international donors and foundations like the Ford Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiatives, which provided significant funding and support. They have a social enterprise model So they developed enterprises such as quarter kiosks and community centers to generate income that supports their program. They have massive online campaigns, so they have a massive online presence to get funding and outcome has grown significantly, raising millions of dollars to expand its program. Their success is attributed to a multifaceted fundraising approach that combines local engagement with international partnerships and innovative fundraising strategies. So here is their website, and I want to note a couple of things. One, there you see their social media presence, where you can actually go in and engage with their stories. You see about Shovco, get some information. Then you see a button there for supporting the organization, and you see an emotive, nice picture there of the community, the members, the founder, that you can actually engage. The other one, Child's Eye Foundation Uganda. So Uganda organization focuses on reducing the number of children living in institutions by promoting family-based care. They work to transform child welfare practices and policies. So fundraising such as crowdfunding. So they raise platforms like Just Giving to raise funds for specific projects such as building a family support center. Partnerships, they establish local partnerships with local businesses and international corporations securing funding. Grant applications, they successfully applied for grants from international foundations like Comic Relief and the John Elton John Foundation. Volunteer networks, engaging a global network of volunteers, they organize events and campaigns to raise both funds and awareness. The organization has successfully raised funds to support their programs and has received international recognition for its innovative approach to child welfare. Their diversified funding strategy, including crowdfunding, grants, and partnerships, has been key to the success. So here is their website. Again, note a couple of things. There's a button for donating. There's a button for their work, what they do, who we are, their impact, taking action, and their stories. And you can see, go to the website, you see it, and you immediately are captured by the website. Case study 3, CAMFED. This is in Zambia, Campaign for Female Education, Zambia. Again, African-led NGO focuses on empowering girls and young women through education and vocational training. So what's the strategy? Institutional funding. They secured funding from large institutional donors such as DFID in the UK, MasterCard Foundation, and USAID. They build strong relationships with these donors by demonstrating impact and transparency. Community engagement. They engage local communities in their programs, encourage small contributions and support from parents, local leaders, and alumni. Alumni network. There's an alumni network called KAMA, where former beneficiaries contribute and support the organization's initiative. Direct appeals through their website, social media, and email campaigns to attract outcome. Has scaled its operations significantly, supporting millions of girls in Africa. Their success is a result of combining large-scale institutional funding with grassroots community support from engaged alumni. I actually did a proposal for CAMFED to help them secure money from Child Investment Fund Foundation. So, and again, look at their website, who we are, not a couple of things, who we are, their films, their stories, why girls education, what they do, they have an emotive picture. Because you see, with this site, what happens is you immediately only have one chance. Because people have so many sites. So you see a donate button as well. So it becomes very easy as you navigate to be able to tell your story. Grassroots Soccer Africa. So it's an organization in South Africa that uses soccer to educate and inspire young people to live healthier lives. They focus on HIV. So they did post-based fundraising, very innovative. They organized charity marches, they got corporate sponsorships from corporations like Nike and Barclays. They got grant funding from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Global Fund, celebrity endorsements from soccer stars. They're able to raise millions to support their programs. Over 2 million young people have been supported. And again, you can see here their website, donate, stories, what we do, where we work, who we are, get involved. So what we do, where we work, who we are, the values that I spoke about earlier, and a button to donate. Let's now take another example, Kolping Society, Uganda. So I said to draw out Angela Alexander from Uganda. So it's part of the international Kolping movement, as you guys know. So you have membership fees. So members contribute small fees to help fund local projects and activities. Leverage their connections with international to access funding, technical support from European partners. So leveraging that international partnership I spoke about. Income generating activities. Income generating activities like agricultural ventures, vocational training, so that help sustain their program. Local fundraising events, organizing local fundraising events such as fairs, cultural events. Outcome have been able to sustain and grow its community programs through a combination of membership contribution, international. They're here. So can you tell us how you've been doing your work? Then again, this is the Uganda Kolping Society. Look at their site. Home, about us, Kolping families, projects, media, resources, contact us. They have email, very nice. They have a donate button, and they have some examples. Again, these things are very, very powerful. So group work. So let's get to the point now. We're actually going to divide into groups to develop a fundraising strategy. So the objectives, each group will develop a basic framework for fundraising strategy tailored to their country context. Components to include identifying potential donors, research and list both local and international donors, including government, private, setting fundraising targets, define realistic and measurable financial goals for short-term, long-term, donor engagement plan, outline approaches for engaging to identify donors, including communication strategies, proposal writing, and relationships. So we're going to go into groups. So guidance, I will circulate amongst groups to provide support, answer questions, and guide discussions. Align your strategy with the organization's mission and values. Utilize digital tools for fundraising and donor engagement, leveraging existing partnerships with European partners. Groups should also consider local context, how to appeal to local donors and communities, European opportunities, specific strategies for leveraging European donors, including tailored opportunity proposals and leveraging organizations' existing partnership, sustainability, how to ensure fundraising strategy supports long-term sustainability and growth. Each group will have 5 to 10 minutes to present their draft fundraising strategy. Presentations should cover key potential donors identified, fundraising targets and timelines, donor engagement plan, and how it aligns with the organization's values.